Hi everyone, this is Michelle Patterson with Angel Souls, and this is your weekly Angel Oracle card reading for the week beginning February 2nd, 2015. I'm going to be using the Magdalene Oracle by Tony Carmine Salerno, and then of course I'm going to pull a color card from the Secret Language of Color Oracle Cards deck by Inna Segal. Okay, it's such a mouthful every week. I'm going to start off talking a little bit because I feel kind of compelled to share a little bit of an experience with you because it might help you. I am being guided to do that. If you're somebody who just wants to get on to the card reading, just kind of flip through to where I'm holding up the cards. That's where the reading will begin. So I wanted to start off by talking about transformation and knowing when one chapter of your life is done. And you know, it's so easy for us to be like, oh, just let it go, just let it go, just let it go. Work through it. Do your meditating. Do your releasing ceremonies. But in the past few weeks, as most of you know, I'm being squeezed out of my home. I'm like, it's so obvious that the universe is trying to get me out of this apartment. And when I started thinking about it, I'm like, they've been trying to get me to leave New York for a very, very, very long time. I think I grew out of New York a while ago. And, you know, just every once in a while we get very resistant to change. And so I've been trying to just make this work. And it's been the past week where I just went, okay, I got to get on this. I have to leave New York City and I have to make plans for that. So with that came this release of some old hurts and pain and things that have been left wide open with other people, and having some information come to light for me in this past week. And in some cases it was, whoa, of course that was happening, of course it was. And then there would be some other pieces of information about somebody in the scenario or whatever. Point is that this past week, everything that I have been avoiding for years is coming home to roost. I think that's the saying. It's here. And let me tell you, it's been the best week of my life, and it has also been the scariest week of my life. And I'm excited and yet scared, and I'm sort of mourning my life here and knowing that it's coming to an end and not knowing where am I going to end up, right? So I'm in that research phase where I'm trying to figure out, where do I belong? Where can I be happy? Where can I feel inspired, but actually have a connection with the people around me? In New York City, I've not felt very connected to people because, you know, I'm kind of growing out of that vibration and I don't really fit in with their goals and things like that. And I'm coming to not understand this environment very well at all, and this need to have one over on somebody, you know, just again, the example of my neighbors, you know, trying to provoke me and not letting me work. Literally, like starting up noise as soon as I'm trying to work because they know I'm working. Just petty things like that. And I'm just, again, that's not every New Yorker. New Yorkers out there watching, I'm not saying that that's you, but you know what I'm talking about. You know what the energy is here. And I think I'm just moving on. And I'm sharing this with you because I know a lot of you out there in your various manifestations, you're going through something similar where you're having to let go of a relationship, or you're having to let go of a home, or you're having to let go of a job. Maybe I feel right now a lot of you out there are in a job that you know just isn't you, and you don't feel like you're living up to your potential. I'm feeling like they're saying January starts off with a rumble. Yes, and I don't know if that came up before, but it wasn't terrible. It wasn't like 2012, 2013, 2014, but it was just, like we said, you know, 2015 in general is going to be a test run year for all of us. So it's showing you what's not working so that you can take care of it. I personally, again, I'm telling you this because I was shocked at the things that were coming up and just like, oh, I thought I was being a good sport by hanging in there, you know? So don't be surprised. I think what we're saying right now is the time to look back over January. Look over the whole month. Go listen to your favorite horoscopes. Go back over January 2015 and see what you were missing, because it's probably come up to the surface at this point. Okay? And I just looked at the time on the camera here. It was 4:44. Thank you, angels. That means that they're here with us, and that's their way of comforting us, that yes, we know this change is hard, we know it's, you know, difficult. I also feel like some of you out there are feeling pressed for time on having babies. I'm just going to throw it out there. And, you know, it's that kind of thing. Like, I'm trying to hurry up and get pregnant because I don't know if I'm going to be able to. And it's kind of now or never kind of feeling. Do you understand the energy? It's just this big thing of this can't happen anymore. I don't see a road in front of me. It's a real time of faith. Real time of faith. And in some way, I feel like we're being tested. I really do. But yes, they're saying as you're coming towards, I'm recording this on January 30th, so if you're watching it at around that time, make sure you're, again, looking back over January 2015. February will be better. February, we start getting a clue of how we need to move forward, the things we can't, yes, and they're saying it won't all make sense at first. Again, this is where faith comes in, and what you need to know will come when you need to know, kind of thing. Now, I'm a planner. I want to know, where am I going? How am I getting there? I'm going to start making a list of utilities that I need to switch over, addresses. I mean, that's my kind of thing. I like having everything nice and neat and on paper so nothing falls through the cracks. And they're testing me even on that because I can't do that because I don't know where I'm going. And I'm literally just having to have faith and sit back and wait for the information to come to me when it's the right time. So if you're going through something like that too, again, I just thought I would share my experience. It's going to be an extra long video, but you're not alone. It's not dire. It's not dire. Everything, all the solutions will fall into place. But they're also saying it might come in a way that you weren't expecting. They always say that though, right? So yeah, for example, me thinking that I'm going to just, I know exactly where I'm going to go and that's how I'm going to do it. No, I'm having to be patient and I'm having to just wait. And I'm going to admit to you, I am 100% human, honey, and it's getting to me a little bit. I'm having anxiety. I wake up in the morning going, should I go take a trip to that city and see if I like it? Should I try to cram all this in? It's a big year. It's a big year of change for everybody. So don't get disheartened. Don't start falling into the stress as much as you can. Again, I'm going through the same thing. My sanctuary is being, in my perception, invaded. I'm sitting here waiting for a noise to start up any minute now. So we're all in this together. I know that's cliche, but we really are, and we got to band together. And whatever you're going through right now, just know it's all happening because it has to. There's another buzz phrase, right? And we're going to get through this. They're saying even when you feel the most scared, it's just that one thing you were looking at is not the right thing. It's their way of guiding you towards what is correct. And you might have some real surprises coming up for you. And yes, they might look kind of like, oh no, I don't want to have to deal with that on the surface. But really the change that it is invoking is the next chapter of your life for some of you, okay? And again, you will go through this mourning process, as I'm discovering, of having to let people go, having to let a place go, having to let an identity go. I was the single girl in New York. I took a lot of pride in that. Very independent, right? And I discovered this is a wonderful city to be alone in, because it's just like that TV show, which I won't mention, but it really is like the city is your boyfriend. And that becomes a problem when you get too comfortable with that and you're not connecting with human beings because everyone is, turned into, I'm trying to say, into their own story. So I'm coming out of that now. Again, that's not everybody's experience in New York. That's just my personal energy in this environment and how it's coming out. Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is hang in there. If you're having a great week, good for you. Take it, honey, because tell you what, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Doing a lot of yoga these days, a lot of meditating, probably more meditating than I've ever done in my life. I wear my headphones quite a bit now. And yeah, it's just having weird dreams, you name it. It's all signs of change. All right. Let's see what general advice we have for the week coming up. The first card is Purgatory, and then the Matrix. I knew the Matrix was going to come up. I just knew it. I'm cracking up over these cards. So I'm just going to tell you really quick and then I'll hold them up. We've got Purgatory, which is kind of what I was just talking about. You know, we're in that in-between space, which is so like bone crunching. You know, it's like, I can't go back to what was. But, you know, again, there's no path in front of me just yet. It hasn't been born yet. And I'm sitting at the station, just waiting for the train. I got off the first train. I was just waiting for my next train. Then we have the Matrix, what's real, what's not real. Universal Christ, this is the thing we're all working towards. These are the steps that have to occur in order to get there. We probably won't get that while we're in our physical, you know, bodies or whatever, but we can take the steps now to work towards a higher consciousness. And then we have the Messenger, which is very much in line with Archangel Gabriel. So the Messenger, I'm feeling, is a little bit of an inside joke for me. I had to play Messenger just now, and let me tell you, you know, a lot of people, God bless you all, who like when I share a little something about myself. I try to make a habit of that, just so you know that you're not alone, just to know that, you know, I'm not like somebody just preaching at you. I have my experiences as well. But it's not easy. Despite what you might think, I know I've gotten really good at telling stories and all that stuff, but I'm not a sharer. I'm not a sharer. I am like, I don't know, I kind of always had that identity, which I'm breaking away from, that identity of the lone wolf, like, you know, I can do it on my own. I'm going to do everything on my own. And I was just chatting with a friend last night. He said, you know, that's one of the things that you're going to have to overcome in this world. You're going to have to learn how to overcome that and reach out and start connecting with people. So lots of stuff coming up here, right? So let's go back to Purgatory. Here is the card, and I have my shot set up here on my iPhone, so that's why I always look down just to make sure. I'm trying to get better about making sure the lights aren't reflecting. It's really hard. But anyway, Purgatory, like we done said, it's a bone-crunching kind of place to be, and it can be really uncomfortable. Again, like waiting for your next train and just sitting in the station. But really pay attention to the colors in this card and sort of the light bursting from the center. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. And I wouldn't even say it's just on an individual level. Yes, it's going to be in your individual life, but this is what's happening in the world right now. Nobody knows where to be. We know the old way isn't working, but we don't really have a new way just yet. We're in Purgatory. So the team of, I just felt a team come in. Like there is a team. It's not just the archangels, but it's their fifth dimensional beings that work with them. There is a team here. And they're going, now you're getting it. Now you're getting it. Now, why are you guys saying that? Because there's something else here. My ear just popped. Because we're all so used to having a formula to live by, right? Your church tells you, no offense against religion or anything, but your church tells you how to live one way, government tells you how to live another, or whatever. You're always following these rules, and now the rules aren't working anymore. And like I said, there aren't new rules in place, and we're so used to following the rules that we feel lost and scared. Well, if I'm not doing that, what am I supposed to be doing? Perfect example with food supply. Oh, every day they say something else about the food. Well, every day we're learning, and people are having a hard time adjusting. They're saying it's okay, but they're also giving us a bit of okay, like, but don't go swirling. You'll make it worse if you go swirling, okay? Because then you're getting yourself into that low frequency. And again, I'm guilty of this myself, really, taking it very personally that my space is invaded, and like, well, I perceive it as such. They're not doing anything wrong. Not really. It's city living. Like, people do these things, and they have a right to live the way that they want to too, right? So in my case, I have to look at how I'm perceiving this, and is that true? So there's a bit of what's going to help in this purgatory is know that you're not in this alone, and really having to see the other person's side of the story. For some of you, like I heard divorce. I think that's one of the most challenging things to do when you feel like somebody else is the cause of your hurt, when you feel like somebody else is ruining your life, or you devoted so much to them and now they want to divorce you. Really, again, it's so easy to say this, but really start expanding out and away from the things that we've always been taught should upset us. Start, as best you can, come out of that. That's part of where the matrix comes in here, okay? Come out of the old conditioning, all the supposed reality, and start looking at it from a different perspective. And try to see the other person's perspective. That's a pretty easy first step in expanding the way you see things. It's just take one person and try to see where they're coming from, you know? And again, you might not agree with it, but you don't have to, because this isn't, you're not placing any judgment on it. You're just observing, okay, to foster an understanding. Again, I'm sorry, I've got all these personal stories, but I feel like I should share about somebody that, you know, you've heard me talk about before, somebody who I care about, who I've hung on to, and some, you know, again, through the help of friends, really started to remember things and have these epiphanies and really seeing what I have to do next. And it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And, you know, but again, it's you know, I didn't even realize how much of a place of judgment I was in towards that person, or a place of blame. If they hadn't done X, Y, and Z, I would be happy. If they had done exactly, if they had made different choices in their life. Whoa. And that's what I've had this week. Okay, hang on. Who am I to say what kind of experience they should be having? You understand? And I'm telling you this, again, this is not comfortable for me. My stomach is swirling because I'm sharing stories about myself. And it usually does. But I think that that is important, because look at how you're doing that. Okay? Nobody can live by our rules. Again, there aren't any rules really in place anymore. So we're all just bumbling along. I get that. But playing the blame game is only going to drag you down further and further away from this development towards the Christ consciousness. Okay? And look at that word universal. Universal. As much as we would like to think that we are so different from everybody else, we're really not. We're really not. And even in the most mundane situations, you know, that thing that you're getting angry with someone else doing is something you've done yourself at some point in your life. Sorry, I'm really trying to get the glare off this card. Can you see it? It's I think that's supposed to be like a Christ face, and the colors are blue, and look at where the light is emanating from. It's from his third eye. So what are we talking about for a week? I know this feels a little more expansive than 1 week, but they don't want you to miss the lesson from January, okay? They don't want you to miss, or because it's so uncomfortable, they're saying that you come into February. February is going to be a lighter month. And yes, it's going to be, you know, the full moon, I believe, is on February 3rd. Good time to do some releasing. I'm going to be doing releasing ceremonies probably all day. All day. Not literally all day, but, you know, getting set up for it, really making it an important ceremony. And hold on one second. They just came in. Oh, I'm sorry. They're showing me that I missed something on this card. That there is water flowing out of the face, the Christ face here, flowing out of his eye. And this is saying some of the things that you're going to go back and look at that have been happening just in the beginning of 2015. It might have made you shed some tears, but they're saying that's the metaphor. You're supposed to be shedding. You're supposed to be getting rid of things, because those things, you can't take it with you, kind of thing, into where we're going into. Does that make sense? So this is kind of good news, but at the same time, it's really, like we said many times now, it's really uncomfortable. So there's not going to be room for judgment where we're going. There's not going to be room for blaming people where we're going. And if you're sitting there, I just felt like somebody's going, like, where are we going? Like, it's not a literal going somewhere, right? Or, you know, nothing's going to happen like that. But yeah, the world is changing. God, it's like breakneck speed. It's going to be happening this year, I think. And don't be one of the ones caught unaware because you didn't learn your internal lessons, because it was so uncomfortable, you wanted to speed past the lesson and you didn't get it. It's going to come back and visit you, and it's going to be harder later on. Okay? That's why we're spending a lot of time here saying, really review what's happened. Journal about it if that's helpful for you. Meditate upon it. Don't miss it. Okay? And again, expect to shed a few tears, Perhaps. Now, does that mean that this whole stinking week is going to be like boo-hooey and looking at the past and all that? No. Don't make the whole week about that. And maybe you won't shed a tear, literally shed a tear, whatever it is. Just make sure you're not missing the lessons. That's all we're saying, because it could be very easy to just get in the flow of February and pack all that stuff away and think that it's over, but it's not. It will come back and revisit, they're saying, in March. So you have a choice. You can, while everything's cut open and everything, clean it out, let it heal properly, and come into February as sort of like your recovery period. And yes, you learned all your lessons. Yes, you cleaned everything up. And now you're just getting into that peaceful place. You're going to be far better equipped to handle the energies of March coming up than if you just didn't complete that out and then it revisits you. It's going to be in a bigger way. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Then, of course, we have the messenger, and this, I said, was a little bit of an inside joke to me, like I'm being the messenger giving this to you right now. But this is also for some of you to encourage the people around you to do the same. You might want to coax it out of them, or something like that. But they're saying, listen to these messages. Listen to these messages. And like they say sometimes, like, we don't talk for no reason. We don't talk for no reason. If we're saying this, even if it doesn't make sense to you right now, it's okay. Hang on to the message, because it will start to make sense as the week goes on and even as the month goes on. Okay? Let me see if there's anything else before we go on to the color card, of course. I heard cosmic consciousness. They're showing me them sort of gathering up these people, and there are some that are refusing to come, and the ones that refuse to come wherever we're going, I don't know, whatever kind of mindset we're going to, it feels very internal. It's like shifting into a different mindset. But the people who refuse to get into that mindset, nothing horrible is going to happen to them, but they're going to have some bit of suffering, but the suffering is self-imposed. It's because they refuse to. And again, it's not like if you don't believe like me, then you're going to suffer. We're not saying that. We're saying that things that you worry about, it's because of your perspective, because you're reading too much into it, or because you don't see the help that's right around you, because you have your head down and you're just in fear. And then you're not going to see the miracles that are all over. So that's what we're kind of talking about. They are definitely showing, I know this is a long reading, I'm sorry, but they're showing me this huge, like, cosmic something, and they're getting us ready for it. I don't know what it is. I wouldn't say that I feel nervous for it, but again, it's change, and change is very uncomfortable. There's going to be an uncomfortable feeling about this if you don't get yourself ready, I guess is all we're saying. Okay? So what does that have to do with the week? Make sure you did your homework, and if you didn't, you need to play catch up this week, because again, you're going to have the potential for lazy time coming in February, and you don't want to. Yeah, again, it just comes down to getting prepped. So I don't have to keep talking about it, I suppose. All right, so let's see what the color card is for this week. A lot of energy coming through, guys. Lilac, strengthen your faith. They're telling me to pull another one. This one. Black, find richness from the dark of night. I'm getting chills. This, okay, let's just, oh, I'm wearing black. And no, I don't have lilac on my eyelids. I have blue on my eyelids, but anyway, lilac, strengthen your faith. The number is 42. Again, let me make sure, because I really feel like it's important that you guys get to see these. Holy, I'm doing the best I can here. All right, so strengthen your faith, guys. It's all that stuff that we were already talking about, some tough times that you're coming out of. And again, that path is not clear in front of you yet. You're not going to be able, you're the co-creator of your life, yes. But the way the path needs to appear, you can't force things. If it's not going to work, it's not going to work. If there's some other divine reason why that can't work, even though you keep trying to manifest it and push it and push it and push it, have faith that there's good reason behind it. And even though it's not the thing that you want, okay, go with it. So Yeah, like for example, if you're really expecting love, you know, you want to get married this year, but you're single. If the universe doesn't feel like it's the right thing, or if it's not the right thing or the thing in your soul contract, and I just saw 2444, again, thank you angels, it was on the camera. If you're not going to be patient, you're going to force something that's not going to work and could potentially get you off your path and make things even more difficult later on. You're going to have to correct. That's what we're saying. You know, like you're just going to have to, it's just going to make things worse for you down the road. Leave it at that. So the other color card we have is black. Find richness from the dark of night, 28. So even though, again, things seem really dark and scary, things might seem like they're falling apart, or you're terrified of being alone, or you're terrified of being without that particular job. I'm terrified of not being in New York City. Who am I if I'm not in New York City? That's something I'm going to have to find out, you know, and it's going to be terrible to rip myself away from this place, but it's necessary. And however it's playing out for you in your life, it's the same kind of thing. You're coming out of one chapter and going into another. So a lot of different things going on in this reading. This is the longest weekly I've ever recorded, I think. And again, I do apologize. I hope that you didn't feel like it was too rambly, but there was a lot of information coming through and a lot of stuff I felt like I should share with you because you might be able to relate. All right, guys, we are going to sign off at 26 minutes. There it is. I love you so much. Hang in there, guys, okay? You're going to be all right. Take care.